Look, Starmer's done. It's over. It's over. He's not going to survive whatever happens. On the past social media comments, I'm going to say this. You know, these comments were posted a decade ago. They've been taken wildly out of context, but they're the sort of comments that you won't necessarily get if you're an Oxford-educated career politician living in a nice postcode in London. But I tell you what, they're the kind of comments you'll hear in every pub in the country every evening, and we should be unapologetic that Rob is an ordinary bloke who's carved quite a career for himself, had the guts to set up a business, served as an army reservist, is a patriot, likes his rugby, likes the odd pint, and said a few laddish things on social media 10 years ago. Do you know what I'd say to that? I'd say, so what? And what about all those politicians at local and national level in the north of England that covered up the grooming gang scandal at exactly the same time? Which of those is more serious? On the past, I tell you what, if he were to turn out to be the winner and get his 81 signatures and launch his campaign to become the next Prime Minister, I think Rob and I would love to sit down with him, because there are several things we'd want to say to him. And one of the first of those would be, please don't leave behind working people. Do you know, one of the doorstep conversations this morning, bloke answered the door. He said, I run a small business. My alarm goes off at 5:30 every morning. I feel that everything's against me. I feel completely put upon. He said, so much so that I ask myself some mornings at 5:30, why the hell am I even bothering? And I think maybe Mr. Burnham and the other senior figures in the Labour Party don't actually get that, don't understand that. And if we win, we'll invite him to the victory party. Okay, so there you go.
In the local elections, your campaign slogan was vote reform, get rid of Keir Starmer.
Yeah.
Is it not the case in this by-election that the quickest way to get rid of Keir Starmer would be for people to vote for Andy Burnham?
Well, that's the argument Burnham will make, obviously. Look, Starmer's done. It's over. It's over. He's not going to survive whatever happens. You know, if Burnham loses, Streeting or somebody else will get the 81 signatures over the course of this summer. The Starmer premiership is over.
I wanted to ask you, Reform lost the Gorton and Denton by-election earlier this year. If the party loses next week, are you concerned that it might be losing momentum? And can I ask for your up-to-date views on voter reform? You said last year that there's a point at which first past the post turns from being an enemy to a friend. Do you back the current system, or would you like to introduce proportional representation, and which voting model? Thank you.
Gorton and Denton, I'm absolutely convinced we won Gorton and Denton amongst British-born people. Absolutely convinced. And I have to say, whilst Commonwealth voting might have worked in decades gone by, it doesn't work in an age of mass migration. So there were people in Gorton and Denton who came to Britain, were living in the Gorton area, who came as part of the Boris wave, who couldn't speak English, but still had a vote in that by-election. Are we losing momentum? It is not a pantomime, but go on. Oh, they're all behind me, don't worry. Have you seen the opinion polls? Today, more in common, 30%, 10-point lead. Every opinion poll, even YouGov, every opinion poll over the course of the last month has us up, going up, consistently up, and leads of 9 or 10 points over the other parties. But it's interesting that you ask about reform of voting in this country, which of course leads us directly onto Gorton and Denton. You know, an independent body, made up predominantly of Liberal Democrats, but an independent body said they had witnessed in 58% of polling stations in Gorton and Denton a practice known as family voting. Well, we outlawed all of this in the 1850s, that the privacy of the polling booth That was supposed to be a place of sanctity. Not that the women are dragged in, watched over whilst they vote, a photograph taken of the ballot paper, and that photograph then sent on. I mean, that was an abomination. An abomination. And what did Greater Manchester Police do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And if you think that's bad, just think of the levels of fraud and intimidation that go on with postal voting. And we've seen people go to prison consistently over the last 20 years, and no one does a thing. And I have consistently, Lucy, since 2015, said that our voting system is rotten in places. So I'm quite prepared to think about changing the House of Lords, quite prepared to think about whether an AV plus model that gave representation to small voices would be the right way forward. I'm open to all of that. But first, we have to fix the integrity of our electoral system. And frankly, I think France gets this right. Now, you could argue the French don't get much right, but France gets this right.
The family of the victim of the shocking attack in Belfast has said today, we have many migrants who make a deeply valuable contribution to our country. We do not want this terrible tragedy to divide people and fuel hostility. How are you reflecting on that in how you respond, particularly in light of the controversy around your response to the horrific Henry Novak case? And when it comes to Makerfield, Restore are doing well here, and it could really help, it could really hurt you. What's Rupert Lowe got that it's appealing to some people over you? Thank you very much.
Elon Musk, thank you. I mean, most people here who say Restore, and by the way, it's not a very big percentage, most people here would not recognise a photograph of him. Right? This is stuff that pops up on their phones. That has been the problem with it. I do not believe for a moment it will last. And look, whatever the family said in Belfast, the fact is things kicked off in Belfast last night in a very, very big way. And things will continue to kick off. And I'm very open about the fact there were some very bad actors get involved in this stuff, but not the vast majority. The vast majority are fearful. The vast majority want action. They actually want something done to make their streets safer. And nothing is being proposed. It wasn't by the last government. It's not by this government. And I think the worry is over the course of the summer. And it seems there's not even a week that goes by now where we don't read of some horrific mass sexual assault or something like that that has been committed by somebody who just should not be in Britain. I think the fear is this stuff gets worse. Unless you give people hope, this stuff will get worse. And as for the controversy, so-called controversy over my comments, I don't think telling the truth is controversial. It shouldn't be. How can the Prime Minister say there's no two-tier policing? Just read the reports. Just read the instructions. Just look at what has happened downstream from the so-called Equality Act. And I've had so many emails from serving and former police officers telling me they're living in an atmosphere of fear. Because, what happened in Southampton, of course, was that the murderer's brother rang the police and said there'd been a racist attack. And so the police went there with that uppermost in their minds. And had there been a complaint against the police, that an accusation of racism had not been taken seriously, they'd probably be suspended on the spot. It's almost the biggest fear of police officers now, is this is what you get accused of. And you police to that. And you're actually instructed not to police everybody the same, to police different racial groups differently. Well, I'm really sorry. If Westminster is blinded to the sheer stupidity and division that this is causing, then I can't do much about it. What I can do is make the argument that I genuinely believe is supported by the vast majority of common sense, decent, law-abiding people in this country. We've got to wake up to this, and you know what? We will. Thank you very much.